Good afternoon, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing a rather odd title for the Wii U. Released in 2013 as an add-on to New Super Mario Bros. U, eventually releasing both a standalone disc and a disc that had both games included on it, New Super Luigi U was released in the year of Luigi, which was 2013. The year where Luigi was finally going to get the recognition that he had been denied for so many years, after being eternally overshadowed by Mario. In fact, that was actually his nickname on the Punch-Out stage in the Wii U version. But the problem is that because they released it in the year of Luigi, that didn't really do Luigi any favors as far as what the game had to offer. Meaning that this is essentially the inferior version of New Super Mario Bros. U. So, if you haven't watched my review of that game, I would recommend doing so now, because that tells you most of the gist of what you need to know for this platformer. Basically, you have the same world map, the same basic controls, same graphics, same everything. There's really nothing you haven't seen here before. The main difference is the structure of the levels and how Luigi controls. So, because when Luigi first appeared in the Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2, he had this habit of having a harder time stopping and thus being slippery, but he also could jump really high, and that remains here. Most of the jumping high part, not so much the slipperiness. And the levels are designed to take advantage of Luigi's superior jumping abilities to create more vertically ascending and more like heavy platforming. However, because this was add-on to New Super Mario Bros. U, they expected you to have mastered the intricacies of that game, and so as a result, every single level has a 100-second timer. I kid you not. Every single level starts with real original sound design there, Nintendo. And you have to essentially rush through the level as though you're a professional speedrunner, which a lot of us aren't, myself included. So as a result, in the original game, I would want to take my time and see if I could find secret areas or star coins. But in Luigi U, I was just avoiding star coins like the plague, because I was like, I gotta get to the exit as soon as possible. And as a result, even the most beautiful levels in the game, I couldn't truly appreciate because I was always fighting the clock. For example, there's still that gorgeous painted swamp level from Mario U, but again, because you're rushing through it, you can't be mesmerized by its art design. Same thing with, there's a snowy level that has this amazing shooting star constellation, and I was like, Mom, you gotta come look at this, this is so beautiful! But because the pause menu obscured my view of the background, I was like, well, I only have like 30 seconds left, so I can't show you for long. And that problem pervaded the entire game. Thankfully, they give you more time when you enter a boss room, but if you're the type of person like me that likes to carefully calculate your attack patterns, not always the most helpful thing to do. Also, the levels have no checkpoints, and they're significantly harder than those found in Mario U, so you're gonna die a lot, and the game still hasn't messed up the broken save system that's been around since the very first New Super Mario Bros. So if you die in between a castle or a fortress, you'll have to replay those levels all over again. Not to mention that 1-ups and power-ups are pretty scarce in this game, so you really have to do an insane amount of resource management if you want to get through these nightmares of levels. If you find the baby Yoshis, that definitely makes things significantly easier, but they're pretty rare as well, and once you lose them, they're kinda gone for a while. Thankfully, there are a few things that redeem this otherwise forgettable platformer. One is the world map is still very non-linear, and it's actually possible to beat the game without beating all the worlds, if you know what you're doing. Now, getting to that point, easier said than done, but I managed to not beat the Soda Jungle, get right to the Maringu, however you pronounce it, clouds, and then from there jump straight to Peach's castle. But again, you have to have a mad amount of skills to be able to do that. Things that redeem this otherwise forgettable platformer. One is the world map is still very non-linear, and it's actually possible to beat the game without beating all the worlds, if you know what you're doing. Now, getting to that point, easier said than done, but I managed to not beat the Soda Jungle, get right to the Maringu, however you pronounce it, clouds, and then from there jump straight to Peach's castle. But again, you have to have a mad amount of skills to be able to do that, and I don't really know how to beat the game otherwise. In addition, the final battle is just as epic as it was in the main game, if not more epic because of Luigi's superior jumping height, which would make it both a blessing and a curse depending on what part of the battle you were in. And hearing Peach shout Luigi instead of Mario is such a cool treat. Otherwise, I would not buy this game if you're just going to get it standalone. In fact, I don't think you can get it digitally anymore, because as far as I know, the Wii U eShop has been messing up tremendously, as far as even buying just New Super Mario Bros. U online. So, if you're going to get this game, but I'll only get it if it's like a pack-on with the New Super Mario Bros. U add-on. It's definitely not worth the money just getting it alone. And it definitely doesn't do Luigi any favors. In fact, it just makes him more overshadowed by his older brother's vastly superior adventure. Although, in fairness, I forgot about this earlier, so my apologies, but you also have the option to control a character called Nabbit instead of Mario, because you still have the two generic Toads. And Nabbit basically is invincible. Whenever he grabs a power-up, that creates another extra life. And he's essentially the super guide of this game. If you're really, really having trouble with a level, just pop him on. He can also be a fourth player in multiplayer, but because of the chaotic nature of the levels, the multiplayer is horrendously awful. And my sister and I couldn't even get past level 2. Like, that's how bad it was. So, if you're going to